Fine. So it is an ordered collection which allows duplicate values and holds many values. So the syntax of this, if you see, it is actually list of data type. This data type could be primitive, non-primitive, or even that could also be a collection. For example, list of string, or list of integer, list of boolean, list of ID. It could be anything like this, or it could be even list of account, list of the data type could be account, contact, opportunity, anyone among them also. Okay, so list of data type, list name is equal to new list of data type. So this is actually the syntax for the list. So as I said, it is an ordered thing which allows duplicate values. So ordered collection in the sense, like you can, the index at the 0th index you will have one value, at the first index you will have one value, at the second index you will have one value. Fine. If you, for example, if you see, like it would be fine. This is how we will declare a string, I mean a list of strings. Next, if you see, so like this, you can also declare a subject type data type. I mean non-primitive data types also you can declare in the list actually. So list has its own methods, which means like by default there are few methods which have been written by Salesforce itself for this list. So if we are going to use this, we can make use of certain functionalities. For example, if you want to clear the list, you can have the method like listName.clear. If you want to know the size of the list, then you will be using listName.size. If you want to add any new values to the list, then you will be using the add method. And if you want to remove any particular uh, value from the list, then you will be using the remove method. There is one more method called listName.getOfIndexValue. So as I said, list is an ordered collection. So all the values which you are going to have it in a list, it will be stored in an ordered fashion. Means like it will be, if you are going to say it as on the 0th position you will have one value, in the first position you will have one value. As it has been ordered, stored in the ordered fashion, it has every value which is getting stored in the list has an index. You can use the method called get to get a particular value. So if at all if you are going to give it as this name dot get of the particular index value, for example, if it is 1 on the 1st position inside list, if we have a value called Delanta, then our list name dot get of 1 will give you the output as Delanta. Right? So these are all the by default methods which are used in when you are using a list. You can make use of it in real time. Apex code. These methods will be again and again used for validation purpose, for adding, for removing, and for doing to achieve the custom requirements. We will be using all these methods. So this is about an overview of about the first collection in the first collection, actually list syntax, how syntax looks like, and what are all the methods inside which are used for the list. The same way we have the next collection comes to set. List is actually ordered collection. Our set is unordered collection. That is the only difference between list and set. And one more thing is, our list will allow duplicates, but set is actually unique. It will not allow any duplicate values. So What is the unique thing in Salesforce? Every record has a record ID. That record ID is unique for every record, correct? So that is actually unique. So all kind of IDs, if in our requirement, if we are going to process with the IDs, then we will be making use of this set. Actually, in real time, if you see 90% of the scenarios in Apex collections, list only will be used. Okay, in certain conditions, if at all if we are going to process with the IDs, then group of IDs, then we will be going for set. So it is an unordered collection which is unique and it will not allow any duplicate values. The syntax of the set will go like this. The same way, instead of list, we will be having set. Set of data type, set name is equal to new set of data type. The example, if you see set of integer set equal to new set of fine. So the methods which are used inside a set, if you see set name dot clear, set name dot size, the same as list. To clear the set, we will be using clear method. To find the size of the set, we will be using size method. To add any values, to remove any values. These four methods only we have. We don't have that get set name dot get. We don't have in set. Why? Because we had that in list, because it was an order. It stores list stores the value in ordered fashion. It is an ordered collection, but our set is an unordered collection. So we don't know in which order the set stores the value. As we don't have the index for the set, we don't have this get method in set. If we are going to use this method, we will be getting an error stating that there is no such method. So Salesforce itself has not written that for set there is no get method. Only for list we have the get method, so that if you give the index value for that particular method, it will be retrieving the value which is stored in the particular index. That is applicable only for list and not for set. So in short, our set is actually another collection which is an unordered collection which is unique and does not allow any duplicate values. In case of if we are going to process with group of ID like any kind of things in Salesforce in our custom business logic, then we will be going for set. Fine. Next, if you see map. Map is the third thing. This is little complex one when in collections itself. So this will come under advanced Apex concepts. So in Apex we have advanced Apex. So there this map and all will be used. So map is actually key value pair. So key is the ID which is unique, and one key can have many values. For example, if I give if Delanta has an employee ID called 007, and that is the key for Delanta related details. So if I just give the employee ID 007, then all the related details of Delanta could be fetched. For example, Delanta's name, position, salary, designation, country, in which area, whether he is a permanent resident of US, all those details I could be fetched. So all the remaining values are called values actually. So the first key is the actually your employee ID. That is actually the key. Fine. So that key will be unique and can have many values, and that values could also be duplicate also, no problem, but the key should be actually unique. Fine. So one more example of this map is like if we have for example, let's assume we'll be seeing that in practical for both list set and map. We'll be seeing in practical in few minutes. So this is actually an overview. So for map, if you see, for example, every country has their own currency, right? For USA it is dollar, for EMEA it is like euro, for Bahrain dinar, for Saudi it is Riyal, for India INR. So like this, every country has their own currency. So if you put all the currencies for the respective countries in a map, in future if you just give the country name, then it will fetch the currency values. instead of this, every country will have their own currency. Instead of this, if we have like every state will have every country will have many states, correct? For example, let's take this example. This would be more suitable. So India will have many states, US will have many states, like that. Japan, China, every country will have many states. So that country is actually the key. Fine. So the states are the values. So if I, when I'm adding the values in the map, if I just give for India, these are all the states. For US, these are all the states. For China, these are all the states. If I'm going to include all this, after that, if I just give map name dot get off the country name, actually map name dot get off the key. Here in our example now, the key is actually the country name. So if map name dot get off India, if I just give at any point of time in my code or in real time, if I just give map name dot get off the ID, then it will fetch me all the related values for that ID. For example, in our scenario, map name dot get off India, if I give, it will fetch me the output would be like all the states of India. If I give map name dot get of US, it will fetch me all the states of US. So this is actually the usage of this key value pair. In real time, where will this be used if you ask? Like there would be scenario for in which for this particular ID, there will be many things which has to be related. For example, one item itself will have many line items, correct? For this particular item, there will be many line items. So they will ask you to, so I want to know, I want to map, these are all the line items for this item, these are all the line items for the next item, these are all the line items for the next item. So if they ask you to map like this, then in such scenarios you will be going for this map concept. Okay, it is actually key value pair. Key is the unique one, and values will be only one key can have many values, and there could also be duplicates for the values also. So the syntax for this map goes like this: map of data type 1 comma data type 2 map name is equal to new map of data type 1 comma data type 2. So this data type 1 data type 2 could be primitive primitive, primitive non-primitive, primitive yes object, or primitive collections. Your key always should be primitive. Fine. The data type 1 is actually key. The data type 2 is actually for the value. So it could be a combination of always your key should be a primitive data type and your value could be either primitive or non-primitive or your S object or even a collection. You could also have map of string comma list of string, map of string comma set of string, map of string comma map of string, like that also you can have. But always your first thing should be primitive data types. So what are the primitive data types which we saw yesterday? String, integer, boolean, blob, id, date type, long, decimal. So these are all the primitive data types. So your first data type or the key of the map should always be any one among these primitive data types only. So fine. So this thing has to be remembered. So this is the actual syntax of map, little different from our list and set. So the example of that would be we are going to use primitive primitive. So map of string comma string, if you take, this is the map name. This you can give anything, no problem. So is equal to new map of string comma string. So this is how you will declare a map. So the ways of declaring list, set and map we have seen. So what are all the methods which are used for this map? If you see the same way, to clear the map it is clear, to know the size it is size. So to add the values into the map it is actually put. For list and set it was add, right? So but here in map it is actually put. If you want to add anything in the map it is actually put. Then if you want to get the values back, for example I told if you give the map name but get off the key value, I mean we just give the key, then it will fetch the related values of that key I told, right? So for that the method which is used is map name dot get actually. Fine. So here in list it is actually if you give the index value, for example whether it is 0, 1, 2, 3, it will fetch the value which is kept in that particular position. But then in map it is actually if you give the ID or the key, it will fetch all the related values for that particular key or ID. Fine. So these are all the methods which are used for map actually. So these three are the collections for your. This is about an overview of about the Apex collections. So if you want to store more than one value, then in such scenarios we will be going for collections. So 90, as I said, 90% of the scenarios list will be used. Wherever you go, if you open any Apex code in general, whether in Google or in real time, in any of the applications that you see, list will be used. And in rare scenarios, we will go for set and map. Map is actually an advanced concept, as I said. If at all if there is a scenario to map certain things, I mean, for parent, one parent can have many childs, correct? So for one account, there will be many contacts. For one account, it can have many opportunities. So there will be a scenario where in which they will ask to create a custom DF page where I want to list for this particular account, these are all the contacts. For this particular account, these are all the opportunities. For this particular country, these are all the states. Fine. So the same example holds true for all this. So one parent can have many child. So the parent-child relationship, either in most of the scenarios, either for the objects which are interrelated for any application, it will be related using either lookup or master detail. So the parent, it should be related to any among with any of the among one among the relationship, it will be related to the child. So if I give the parent name, I want to know the overall the related child. Okay, so this will be used in real time. So in such scenarios, we will be going for map concept. In Apex collections, we will be going for map, right? So this is an overview of about Apex collections. So let's see an example for each and every individual thing. In anonymous window, yesterday we saw it. If we have a code snippet, we can execute there and check. So there we will check for list, set, and map, and then we will use one using one real-time example. We will use everything. So after this, we will be seeing about SOQL query, an overview about SOQL query, what is SOQL query, what way it is different from SQL. So all those things, an overview about that, where to execute a query and check everything we'll see. After that, we'll go and check for the whole the full example. Let's go and see. Fine. So under developer console, let's try opening the anonymous block. So here I am going to declare a list and initialize a list. First, let's start with list. Fine. See here, I have declared the list of data type. List name is equal to new list of data type. So this is how we will define a list. So for that list, I have added these values. As it is a string, I am adding a string values. If it is a string, you have to enclose it using single quotes. You have to use it. So this is applicable for all programming languages. If you are going to use any string anywhere in your code, then you will have to include it in a single quote. So as we have declared this list to be a string data type, then so all the values which are going to be kept inside this list will be a of string format, correct? So we are using single quotes. We are adding all the values using the add method. So list name dot add of I am adding the value as Ganesh Dilata Ramcham, and also as the first finally I am again using the same value to check whether list is allowing duplicates or not, because we said list is an ordered collection which will allow duplicate values, right? So just to check that, I am adding one duplicate value again, and let me check whether the system is accepting that or not. So this is how you will declare the values. You will define a list and declare and initialize the values for the list. Fine. So now it is time for us to check whether the list has all the whether the list which we have defined has the values which we have added. So how to check that? If you see, fine. See here, are you able to see the values? The list values are Ganesh, Dilanta, Ram, Saman, again Dilanta. So whatever values we gave, the list is able to display that. So for that, what is the line which we gave? Just system.debug. Yesterday I told, right. So to print any values in Salesforce, you will have to use system.debug line. So there I am just printing the list values. So this is actually the syntax for printing the list values. Fine. So plus lststr is the list name which we have given here. So once we gave that, it is displaying the values which we have added it. Fine. So next, if you see, you know the size of the list, I'm giving it as list name dot size. Fine. So next, let me remove certain values. So so here what I'm doing is, like, we told list to be an ordered collection, right? So we uh, let's check by getting the index value. Fine. So are you able to differentiate? So first, I declare the list, then I initialize the values to the list by adding few values, and then I displayed the list values. So it displayed what are the values which we added. So it also displayed the, because twice delta we added, so it is displaying the output is actually, see here, two times delta has come. So list is allowing duplicate values, we have confirmed. So next we are going to print the size of the list. So for that we are going to use list name dot size. Next, if you see, I'm going to remove few values from the list which we have added. So for that, list name dot remove or we will be giving the index position here actually. So 0, in the 0th position it is Ganesh, Dilata first, second position it is Ram, Sam and Dilata. So second is actually Ram, third is Sam. Okay, so I am removing those two values by using these two methods, and then after that again I'm printing the list values. What is the, now after removing, what are the list values? After removing, what is the list size? Okay, so always in uh, coding, if you take it is like top-down approach. The system will start executing the compiler which is running in the background. It will start executing the lines one by one from the top. So after removing the these two values, RAM and SAM, so what is the list value and what is the list size? I am trying to print. Okay, fine. After that, using the directly like size, we it is not possible to use directly list name dot get. The system dot debug, we cannot directly give this. So because of, instead of, as it is not possible to retrieve directly the values, I am first declaring, I am using one variable, I am getting the value. What is the first position value? So 0 1. So Dilanta will be my, so when I am going to get my first position value, what is my output? It is actually a string, correct? So that is why I have declared this variable as string. You can, if the output is integer, then you will have to declare this as an integer. So in the first position, what is the value I have? Delta. So I am saving that in a variable, and then I am displaying that variable here. Fine. So this is the alternate way. As directly it is not possible to get, if I am going to use system.debug list name.getOff, if I give the position, first position value, the system will throw an error. So to avoid that, to bypass that, the alternate way is actually, while I'm going to save that output in a variable and I'm going to display that variable actually. Okay. So next I'm clearing the complete list using the clear method. So we will have to check all the methods which are available for list, correct? So next I am using the clear method. So using the clear method, I am clearing the complete list. Fine. So after clearing the list, after clearing the list, I am again printing the values of the list, and then I am using again, I am printing the size of the list actually. Find the same way. What I am just checking whether this is working or not. So now it's time for us to execute the code and check what happens. So see here, first, I have declared the list, I have added the values in the list, and then I have displayed the list values. So the output is actually the same. Ganesh, Dilata, Ram, Sam, Dilata. Next I am trying to print the size of the list. So what is the size of the list? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 names we have added. So size of the list is 5. It is executing correctly. Fine. Next, what did we see? I have removed two values, Ram and Sam. Next, I am trying to print the list values. Now see the value Ganesh, Dilanta, Sam. So I have removed the value in the second position. So 0, 1, 2 RAM, I am removing it. So after that, if I print the values of the list, it is actually, see here, except RAM, all the remaining 4 values are displayed and the size is 4 now. Next, I am trying to get the value in the first index. First index, the value is delta. So I am trying to get the output. I am going to save it in a variable and I am going to display that variable. So plus yes. So see here, the first index value is delta. It is delta, correct? So next, I am clearing off the list and I am trying to display the values in the list actually. So now if you see, the list values are empty and the list size is also 0 because we have cleared the list completely. Fine. So this is one example, few examples of the list methods, how to declare and initialize the list values. Fine. The same way, next let's see for set actually. For set, let's take integer data type. So set name dot add of, actually I'm going to add the values. So let me add one duplicate value and let me check whether set is allowing duplicate or not. So next, if you see, system, so I'm adding the values in the set and then after that I'm trying to print the values of the set. Next, if you see, I'm trying to remove one value in the set and then again I'm trying to print the values. Next, I'm going to clear the values and then I'm trying to print it. So likewise, I'm trying to get the values which is in the first index. Let me check. So as we did it in list, I have added a duplicate value to check whether set is allowing duplicate or not. Then I am also checking whether set is allowing to get the index position first value or not. I am checking it. Fine. So I am trying to execute it. It will throw an error, method does not exist. See here, set integer dot get. The get method does not exist for set actually. That's what I said. As it is as set stores the value in unordered fashion, this get method is not available for set. So we have declared a set We have initialized the values for the set, and then we are printing the values of for the set and the size. After that, I am removing the value, removing one value, and then I am again printing the values and the size of the set. After that, I am clearing the set, and then again I am trying to display the values and the size of the set. Okay, so let's try start executing and let's see what happens. So see here, I have added 4 values, 1, 2, 3, and again 1 I have added. It's actually duplicate value. But see here, the output, it is actually 1, 2, and 3. And also it is showing the size as 3 only. So set does not allows duplicate value. It is not taking the duplicate. Fine. So next, if you see, I am removing the second value. So second value I am removing it. So if once I remove, only 1 and 3 remains. So after that, the values are 1 and 3, and the output is, the size is actually 2. Next, finally I am clearing the set, so completely everything goes up. So the set values are null and the size is actually 0. Fine. So this is actually about set. Fine. Next, if you see, let's start with the map. To add the values in the map, you will have to use the method called put. Fine. So map str dot map name dot put dot. What I am going to use is key comma value. So for key value, it would be for countries and states. So let's have, so US, what are all the states which comes? Fine. So country and the related states. So country is actually the key and the states are the values. So key is unique actually. The values, it could also have duplicates. So now this is how we will be adding it. So let's just check whether it is working or not. Fine, see here. The map values are, for India it is Chennai, Bangalore, Delhi, Gujarat. For Japan it is Korea, North Korea, South Korea, Jingxi. For US, Chicago, Canada, San Francisco, Brisbane. So key value, key value, key value. So it is working fine. So now I want to get, I want to find if I, for US, what are all the states I just want to find. So if I am going to get that, for that, dot get up, I'll be giving the key. So what is the key here? It is actually US, correct? So if I give US, so what is happening? So see here, US states are Chicago, Canada, San Francisco, Brisbane. So whatever values we gave for US, it is actually coming exactly the same way. Fine. So this is how, for if you just give the dot get of key, it will get the values. Let's give for India now. See here, the US states. Actually, I have not changed the. Here I have not changed it. Actually, it should be. So India states are Chennai, Bangalore, Delhi, Gujarat. So it is fine, displaying correctly, correct. So this is how you will add the values in a map and retrieve back the values by giving just the key. So next, if you want to know the, size, it is actually map name dot size. Then if I am trying to, clear the map, then if I want to know the map values and the size of the map, so what it is actually. So see here, so map values are first, it is displaying all correctly. Next I try to print the values of India by giving the key as India. So it fetched me the states of India. Then I try to print the size of the map, it is actually 3. So US, India and Japan. So it will take the count of key actually. Fine. So next map, I try to clear the map. Then I try to print the values of map, it is actually empty. Then again the size of the map, it is again actually 0. Fine. So this is about list set and map So next, let's see about SOQL query. So SOQL query, if you see, so SOQL stands for Salesforce Object Query Language. Fine. So if we see as it is an SQL structured query language, using that Salesforce has adopted these things, and now it is actually Salesforce object query language. Fine. So here the same way like we have to query and get the values. If at all if we assume like in our custom object if we have some 1,000 records, if we want to fetch those and display it on our custom VF page, then we'll have to go in for SQL queries only. So select field names from object name. The syntax would be fine. So select field name from object name. This will be the general syntax. If you want to give some condition, then you will be using where class, where name, where some field name is equal to, you will be giving some values. So like this you will be giving the thing. So example, if you see, select name, ID, designation from employee, where name is equal to Delanta. Fine. So it will fetch only the Delanta record. This query, this is actually the example of a query. Select field names from object name where some condition, where name is equal to, if I'm going to give it as Delanta. So it would be like, so this thing will, the output of this would be only one record, Delanta record. So if I don't give this condition, select name, ID, designation from employee. If I just give this, it will fetch me all the records which are available in this employee object. Fine. So we will be seeing practical example for this. So this is how the syntax for SOQL and how this SOQL has been used. So say, as I said, SOQL stands for Salesforce Object Query Language. If you want to fetch the records or data available in the object or at the table level, then you will be going for SOQL query. So everything is closed. So for executing this, we have one area called developer console. SOQL editor is there. So query editor is there. There you can use this. Or else we have one more third party tool like data loader. For data migration, we have data loader, correct? In the same way, we have one more tool for querying called Workbench in Salesforce. So just go in Google, if you just type in Workbench, the first link will come. If you just open it, you will have to log in using your Salesforce org. So parallelly, you will have to open another tab, log into Salesforce, and another tab, open Workbench, and try logging in with your Salesforce org credentials. So after that, all your orgs, object, and fields will come inside that Workbench. So using that, you can start querying. It would be a little easier when you are starting for the first time. If you are using Workbench, it is actually ideal. So just type in workbench. So the first link will open up. So just click on that. So it will look like this. So for us, this is the production. So just give agree, log in actually. So see here, it will take you to this object. So now under queries, go to SQL query. So the page will look like this. Now if you, in the object, it will show all your objects. For example, let's assume employee leave, fine. So here for this object, actually we have, see here, we have 147 records, correct? See here, we have 147 records. So what are all the fields that are available if you see? See here, we have active, first name, full name, last name, number of days, status. These are all the fields, correct? So now here, let's start searching for the object employee leave actually. So employee leave. So once you select the object, it will display all the fields. So now if you just give count, so see here, query would return 147 records, correct? So 147 was the count, correct? So see here, select object fields from object name. Select field name from object name. So what are all the field name here? So select name. If you just select here, automatically the tool itself will create the query. Fine. So see, select name. So see here, if I just select, clicking on the name, it by itself will, the query will automatically be framed. Fine. So now if I just click on query, we can also check whether, see here, it is displaying 147 records. So the total records are displaying here. Fine. So next, if you see, the same way, if you select other fields, first name, full name, last name, number of days, status, type, years of experience, if you just type in, see here, it will display the values. So now if you just want to give any condition, then select name from employee. Okay, it will display all name. So I'm going to give Ramesh. So I just want to have one record. So where will I give? So where name is equal to Ramesh. See here, automatically the system itself will frame the query. Fine. So query. So system will fetch only this record. Okay. So if you want to have all the remaining fields, then if you just give it as query, then it will show all the details of Ramesh. Ramesh, full name, last name, ID, what is the status actually. So everything it will be shown. So when you are starting for the first time, if you are using this tool, it is little easier for you to learn software queries. Uh, if you are not comfortable with this, then you can also be in Salesforce itself. We have in developer console, we have one option called query editor. See here, enter software query. So here, if you just enter that value, see here, it will also display here the same. So see here, select first name, last name from contact. From contact, I'm going to just give this. See here, select field names from object name. So if I just give this, so it will display all my contacts which are present. So totally 55 contacts are there in my contact object. So it is displaying all the contacts. Fine. So the only difference between that tool and here is, if you get in that tool, if you just select the field, it will automatically frame the query. But here, it will not be like that. You will have to manually search for the fields. Every time you will have to search for the fields and then only type here. Okay. So this is actually the basics of how to frame query. So in SQL you have joins. You would have heard about joins, right? So in SOQL you don't have that concept called joins. Instead of that we have something called inner query. So if at all if from parent object itself there are two objects A and B. If A is the parent, B is the child, then you can frame an inner query, and using inner query in one single query itself you can retrieve the values actually. So see here, account and contact are related to each other, correct? So select name from account. Inside that I am going to have select name, first name, last name from contact. So in this case, see here, I written one query only. So what are all the, for this account, these are all the contact. For Metropolitan Health Services is actually one account. For that, these are all the contacts which I have for me. So instead of joins, we have inner query in SOQL. We don't have the concept called joins in SOQL query. Only inner query is there. So parent to child relationship in one single query itself we can frame like this. So it will fetch all the related record values. So if I have son for son card, these are all the contacts, first name, last name, contact list for the particular account. Fine. Likewise, the same way in SQL or in any other query database concepts, you will have, if you just give, if you want to fetch all the field names. For example, in one object, if I have some 50 fields, select star from object name. If I just give star, it will fetch me all the field names, correct? So, but again in Salesforce, in SOQL, we don't have such star concept. If you want to fetch all the field, you have to manually type in all the field names, then only you can have, you will be getting the result. Okay. Why is it so? If you have that thought, then Salesforce is actually cloud, right? So all your SQL and your Oracle, all that client server model. So you will have it for your organization or for your enterprise. You will have all your details in your local server. So if you give just select star, it will fetch all the table. But then if you just remember, just think of Salesforce, this being cloud along with your table, all many other people's, many other organizations table also will be there. If you just give select star, that's all, system will go down. It will, think of the time it will get to get all the values. It is not possible to restrict for your organization alone. If you just give select star, it refers to all the tables which are present in that cloud, correct? So it will start searching for all the table names. So it will drag all the resources of the Salesforce. So just to avoid that, Salesforce has not kept that concept here. So if at all in future, if you are going to attend in interviews, we used to keep this as a question. So we'll ask, have you worked on circle queries? Because if at all if you have worked on Salesforce, definitely there is no point of, at some point of time you will have to, you should have worked on queries. So then we will ask like, have you worked on framing queries? So we will ask, he will say, if he says yes, then we will ask like, what is the way to fetch all the field names from an object. If he says select star, from that itself, from there itself we can identify like he has not worked anything in Salesforce, because there is no such concept called select star. If you want to fetch all the field names, then you will have to manually type in all the field names, then only system will fetch you the output. Fine. So this is one small thing to be noticed here in SQL query. So this is an overview about SQL inner query how to framing queries using workbench and query editor. So we will be using all this, our collections and this SQL query practically now. So we are going to see one practical example. We are going to design one custom VF page for custom object, and then we are going to retrieve. For example, let's assume like for this object itself, let's see like we have for employee leave object, we have around 147 records, correct? So we are going to design a custom VF page for this object actually. Fine. So and we are going to display all these records, 147 records we are going to display in our custom VF page. Yesterday we used only one variable, correct? Do you remember for calculator functionality we used a variable so that when the user enters the value, it is actually single value. Fine. So you are able to get that value and pass that value from the page to the class, perform the logic, and then pass the output again back to the page so that the user is able to see. All that involved only single value, single variable. Fine. But now if you look at this now in our example today, we are going to deal with group of values. Think of this object, custom object, we have around 147 records. So we are going to query it using SQL query. We are going to query all this 147 records, and we are going to keep that in our list. So in the example which I said for list, actually we added manually list of string, we added Ganesh, Sam, Dilanta, correct? But in real time, if you see, is it possible how to add this 147 records? Will we be adding everything? First, we have to export it in an Excel and CSV format. Then we have to manually list dot add, dot add, dot add. It is not possible. For that only, to make work simpler for developers, we have this SQL query. So using SQL query, we are going to retrieve the data from this particular object, and we are going to keep that as a collection in a list. So we will be declaring a list, initializing a list, and we will be initializing the list with these queried values, and we'll be passing the list to the page actually. So the same, when we are designing the page, again the same page components will come: page, form, page block section, page block table. For that page block table, we will be giving the values as this list values we will be giving to the page block table. Okay, let's design one custom VF page. In that list, let's see how to keep the values, and then let's keep some custom button, custom update button, the save button, delete button, edit button. In that page itself, let's try having one custom search functionality. In Salesforce, we have see here search, right? If we are going to search for any record, it is getting. So what is our requirement now is we are going to design a custom VF page, and in that I am going to have one search functionality. So that if I am searching for any record, for example, let's assume like in this object I have a record called Dilanta. I have around 150 records. In this, I have one particular record called Dilanta. So if the end user in the runtime, if he is searching for Dilanta, it should fetch Dilanta. So it is not always Dilanta. He might next time he might search for some other record. The next time if he is going to search for Ganesh, then the search functionality should work and it should fetch the Ganesh record. So how to achieve this scenario? So then there also we are going to use query, but that it is in a little simpler way, little different way. So that in query we have two different kinds of query: static query, dynamic query. So how to make the query dynamic actually? So that those concepts and all we will be seeing it uh, in our today's example and practical example. And also we will be seeing, I told right, first we saw try creating a link between using standard controller and standard list controller. We try to create a link between our database layer and our custom page. So M and V. Yesterday's session we tried to create a link between V and C, view and our custom controller. Correct. So now today in our example we are trying to going to see a link between, how to create a link between M, V and C. We are going to design a page. We are going to create a class. We are going to first create a link between our class and controller, the controller and our page. Then we are going to link with our database also, because we are going to fetch the data from our, where are these 147 records? Where is it present? It is actually present in our object, correct? What is our object? It is actually data model, correct? So from there we are going to fetch everything. So then we are going to create a link between M, V and C completely today. So how first, whenever you are going to design one thing, If it is going to be if your requirement involves writing a custom Apex class, then first you will have to go and write the class first, correct? So let's go to, let's start writing one class. So go to Apex class. So now here we are going to declare one list to keep the values, all the values of that object, correct? So we are going to declare a list, and the list data type is actually that object. So what is the object name? Fine, we have declared the list. Next we have to initialize the list, correct? So for initializing, that will happen inside a constructor. So it is a special method in the name of the class itself, I told, right? So we are going to here use, so here I am declaring it and then initializing the thing here. I am writing it in two lines. Why? Because I have to use getter setter for this, because what I said yesterday, whatever variable or collection which is going to communicate with your page, then it should have get set. Then only you can pass the values from your page to your class, correct? So here I am going to first query the values and keep it in this list, and this list I am going to pass it to the page. I'm going to create one page. In that page I will be having page block table. For that page block table, I'll have to pass this list. Fine. For that page block table, I'll have to pass this list. For that, I need to have getter setter. So because of this, I am separating this as two lines. So here I am going to query the values. So for querying, I am going to use workbench. So in workbench, I have selected this particular object, and once I have selected this particular object, so what are all the fields which I am going to have? Name, uh, full name, number of days, status, type, years of experience. Let's assume like this. So full name. So I don't want to have any condition as of now. So name, full name, number of days, status, type, years of experience. Fine. So just copy this, and I'm going to have it, write it in my line here. Fine. Is it fine? So So we have written a class, we have declared the list, we have written a constructor, we have initialized the list here, we have using SQL query, we have framed the query, and we have given that value to the list. So what will this query return? It will return all the 147 records. I am correct. See here, using SQL, this workbench, I have framed this query and it is returning 147 records. So when it is, the output is actually 147 records, group of values. So I have to keep that in a, and what is the data type of this list actually? It is returning the object, this S object, what is employee leave object, correct? So that is what I have declared, list of that particular S object, list name, we have given it. So whatever output I am going to get from this query, I am giving it to this list, which is of data type, this particular object, S object data type. Fine. So I have just framed this line. So this is our class actually. So let's save this. Now after this, we have to create one page for this. So going to Visual Post Pages and trying to create one new page. So now here again the same set of lines will be used for framing the page actually. So for this page block table, I am going to give the value, what value I am going to give. So this list which we have written here, that I am going to give it here. So before that we have to link our page with our controller, correct? So what is the class name we have to give? So we have given this. Next, for this we can give any variable called L. So output field value, what I am going to give here is, so this variable name dot that field name. So what is the field name, API name? It is actually name, correct? So name I am going to give it. So like this I am going to do for remaining things also. So what are all the remaining things? Full name. So the employee full name, if you see, so the API name is like comes around like this. Next, if you see number of days, so for number of days, it is actually this. So next, if you see status, correct. So for status, if you see, it is this one. So what are the next thing? Type years of experience. So for type, if you will take, it is actually this API name. So next, if you see years of experience, so for that, this is the API name actually. Fine. Okay. So see here, we have designed a custom VF page for that particular object using custom Apex and custom VF page, where we have retrieved all the values of that particular object and we have shown here. So we have not used any standard controller, standard list controller, just we have not used record set where and just we have given that value. We have used custom Apex class where we have declared the list, initialized the list, queried the values and given those list values to that list, and that those list values is passed to the page. So in the page block table, for the I told, right, if you are going to use this component, then value and where are the mandatory attributes which you have to use. So this value for this, the list name in that class, I am giving this to this page block table. Fine. For iterating the values, so every table will have rows and columns, correct? So for iterating the values, I have declared the variable that as L, and using this variable, I am iterating all the values. So for iterating, I have used L dot that field name. So for inside page block table, you have a thing called column. So apex column, and you will be using the header value. You can give anything. So inside that, I am using an output field to display it as a read-only field. Fine. See here. So it is displaying all the values. So we have displayed a current page. So now what I am doing is, I want to keep one custom search functionality, custom button. So what could I do? So inside here, I wish to have, so I should give one value, correct? So let's have this. Then after this, so I'm giving it as yes here. So I'm going to use one string actually here. So public string yes, and I'm going to use get setter here. So for search functionality actually, fine. So then I'm going to have one method. Okay, so this method name is search. So I'm using that here. Fine. Next, I am declaring one variable called string yes here, and then I am using that value here. Fine. So see here what happens. Okay, see here we have kept one input text box and we have kept one button called search. Fine. So whatever values which the end user is going to search here, by clicking on the search, it should display only that value. So how to achieve this functionality? For that we have written one method here, right? So inside this method, I am going to have the same query. Fine. The same query I am going to have, but with one condition where what is the condition if you see where name is equal to, so here I am going to give it as the yes. So what is this yes? So in the input text we have yes. So whatever value which the user is typing, it will be received in this yes. Fine. Then this value is passed to class. In class we have yes. So that will be received here. Then from here it will be passed on to here. So every time when someone search for here, if I give Delanta, that Delanta will be passed on to is it will be received here, then it will be passed on to the class here, then from here it will be passed on to here. So in query, so it will search, instead of yes it will be Delanta, because the user has entered as Delanta, so the query will return only Delanta record. So next time if the user is searching for Ganesh, then in this yes it will be Ganesh. Then here in this query it will be Ganesh. It will be returning only Ganesh record. So this is what is called as dynamic instead of hard coding. So in query itself, if I give where name equal to Delanta, so every time whatever record the user search, every time it will return only Delanta record. Fine, but I don't want that to happen. The end user in the runtime he might search for any record, correct? So to achieve this functionality, I have used this one. So now if I'm going to give it as yes, then this is called as framing dynamic queries actually. Fine. So now see here, if I am search for Mukund, I am just searching for any one particular record. See here, it is fetching only that record, correct? So now let's try searching for some other record. See here, fine. So this is the custom search functionality which we have achieved in our custom VF page. This is actually our custom VF page, correct? So next I wish to have one more thing called one edit button I want to have. So now see here, when I am loading the page, all are output field, correct? So now I want to have an edit button here. So if I click on edit, all fields should change to input field. In edit mode, all fields should go. So how to achieve that? So for that, I am going to have one button called edit. Fine. So but edit don't use the same name function as edit, because already we have one standard function for edit, right? So now I am using one function called edit emp. Okay, so I wish to have one method here on my class. So because for everything we need to have one method, correct? So public void. So what is the name which we give? Edit emp. So inside this, so here I am going to declare one variable for called boolean b. Fine. This is for edit action. Fine. For edit I am declaring one boolean called b, and I am making that b as false here. Uh, yes, okay, false here. Fine. So let's see what happens. Then after that, what should I do? If you see, I should make this output field. I have given it here, right? So I need to have one input field, and the value to be like this. So now here it should be like this. Okay, now see here, we will have both output field and input field, but I don't want like this, correct? So now what should I do is, there is one attribute called, for every field we have one attribute called rendered. It's actually a boolean attribute. So I am going to give this as, so double exclamatory mark comma B. So if I give like this, it is actually false. So let me first check and let me confirm if it is working fine or not. Fine. So now click on, try clicking on edit. See here. So when I'm loading the page, it is output field, correct? So if I click on edit, now see here, everything, all fields have changed to input field except this field. Why? Because this is actually a formula field. Do you remember? We written one formula. So formula fields will always be the same. So whatever changes you make, once you click on save, automatically this will change edited. So we cannot change this line. So that's how it is still like this. So we cannot change this actually. So but then look at the remaining lines. It has changed to edit mode. Fine. So what has happened if you see? So I have kept one variable called boolean. By default it is false. So I have kept one functionality called edit, and inside that I have made the boolean to be true. Fine. So and in the page, for every field, for the output field, I have made it as, for there is an attribute, boolean attribute called rendered. So using that, when I am loading the page, I want that to be false. If you keep it as double exclamatory mark, it is false. If it is single exclamatory mark, it is true. So when I am loading the page, I want all the fields to be in false. So false means output field. Fine. When I am loading the page, I want all my fields to be false. Boolean is false. So all the fields are output field. So read only. Once I click on this edit button, so it is calling the edit method. Inside the edit method, I am making the boolean to be true. Fine. So once it has made it true, what is true? If it is true, then it is input field. Fine. So if it is true, it is input field. So now once I click on edit, it is calling the method, making the boolean to be true. If it is true, all fields are made input field. Fine. So now after this, if you make any change and click on save, if we have a button called save, once you click on the save, automatically it will, the records will get saved. So let's see that functionality alone. So with that, let's wind up. So I want to have one more button for saving, correct? So for save, I want to have, so So I'm having a method called save emp. So here I wish to have one method called public void. So this is the method name. So now here if you see, I'm going to there is one keyword. So I'm going to just update the list. So if I just update the list, my thing is getting so. So to just have a confirmation whether my record has been updated or not, I want to have one confirmation correct. So for that we have to display that message. Yesterday we tried displaying one message correct. So I'm going to use the same set of lines here also today. So now here if you see, so instead of error I will be using confirm, and so we have some validation rule. So for that particular object, so let me uh, actually disable those validation rules, or else we have to satisfy that and then only it will check actually, it will allow us for us to make the changes. So now I am clicking on it. So now if I give save, see here records are saved successfully. Next time if you load the page, now see here the records have been saved. So now if you go and search for this particular record in the object, see here, it has been saved successfully. See the last modified by Ganesh, it will show my time now. Fine. So just now in our custom page, we have made the changes. You can also make one more change also. So instead of Mukund, I can have Dilanta. So click on save. So see here, it is showing one message also. It will show records are saved successfully, success message. So because of that line actually we added, right? So now after this, if we see here, if we add this, so see here Mukund Dilanda. So now here, if we are going to search for this line actually in the record, if you see here, just now it has been modified. My time it will be showing. So from the page, we are able to save the changes. Fine. So this is our custom code actually, custom class. So I'll be sharing this code also so that you can have a look actually. So this is our custom class, static query, dynamic query. So custom methods for save, for editing, for search, for these things and all. So this is actually the code for the custom VF page actually. So we are able to achieve this. So we have linked our page, our class, and the object data model, because our records, all these records are present in our object only, correct? So we are able to achieve this actually. Fine. So we have linked our object, class, and our page MVC. So this is our. So you try creating one more button for delete, for deleting the records, for adding the records. What if, like, if I want to add a new record in my page itself, I want to add a new the employee record. So for that, how to achieve that functionality? So like this only in real time, we will get a development tasks. customizations like this only it will come. Fine. So after this we have to keep one more button, keep adding it. How to export this content as PDF? As a PDF I want to extract, as a Excel format, as a CSV I want to extract by using by keeping a button. So you can try these three tasks. Try deleting, have one button for delete, have one button for adding a new record, have one button for exporting the content as PDF. I want to have all this content in the PDF format to be downloaded. So how to achieve that? Just try it. Fine. So with this, we have covered the Apex part. So let's wind up for today's thing, and let's start with the tomorrow's session. Fine.
What's the topic for tomorrow, Manish?
It would be triggers. So we have a concept called trigger. So we saw in the first level, we saw workflows, correct? Workflows approval process. So
Yeah.
if at all if there is a requirement and if we are not able to achieve the requirement in workflows or approval process, we will be going for triggers. So there are certain limitations in workflows. So what are the limitations? What if a requirement comes in and if we are not able to fit in that requirement using the workflow, so we will be going for trigger. So what is a trigger? It will in trigger concept we have the same like in database also we have trigger, in Oracle we have trigger. So
Yeah.
in Salesforce also we have a trigger concept. So what is a trigger and how to achieve those functionalities, that we'll be seeing tomorrow.
Oh,
Okay. So I'll share till I have shared the recordings of yesterday. Till yesterday I have shared already. So yesterday's
okay.
thing and today's sessions and that code and the PDF file, the Word format, I will be sharing it by today.
Okay.
Okay, Delanta, you try having a look at this code. Initially, it would be little tough, I think. Like you have video, right? Try seeing twice and try typing the same code which we have seen it in our session, and then try it for different objects, different fields. Try framing SOQL queries. Try framing
Yeah.
it with different set of conditions. Try framing queries and try to bring in that inside an Apex code. So like that,
Yeah.
start doing it so that it will be easier for you. At any point of time, if you get stuck, just drop an email. I would be of an assistance.
Okay. You share the code also.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Another 1 or 2 hours, I will be doing it.
Visual Force and
Apex, yeah, definitely.
okay, Ganesh.
Okay, then Nilanta, I think it's like late for you. I'm sorry. So tomorrow, let's meet at the same time, 7 a.m. IST. And if
If
at all,
I'm just 5-10 minutes
yeah,
late,
yeah, no
then
problem, no problem. And if at all if you have any changes, like let me know so that I
no,
will.
no, no. Changes.
Yeah, fine, no problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Ganesh.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, bye.